Hello, this is Rob Martin with Maverick Disc Golf, and we're doing the player meeting for the Free State Fling Disc Golf Tournament. Want to first start off with thanking our sponsors. Innova Champion Disc is our primary title sponsor. Their sponsorship provided drawstring bags and a mini marker bottle opener for all players, both pro and am, and then also provided a good portion of the Ace Fund prizes that I'll go over here in a little bit. I also want to thank DZ Discs for um, a T-Sign sponsorship. And I also want to thank the Call Valley Disc Golf League. That's the Lawrence, Kansas Disc Golf Club. They helped me do quite a bit of work in the last week out at Bloomington Park to get it ready for our tournament coming up. The format of the tournament is going to be 2 rounds on shotgun start. Your starting hole will be posted on the PDGA event page no later than 6 p.m. Friday. Hopefully, I'll have it done sooner. Uh, my goal is to actually have it done Thursday, but I got some things going on Thursday night, so I might not be able to get to it till Friday. But it'll be up no later than Friday, 6 o'clock. Your second round, if you never played in a tournament before, your second round holes will likely change from the first round. The second round, well, the first round is random within your division for the most part. There might be a couple cards that are mixed divisions. But your second round will be sorted by your division and your score for the first round. And your starting hole will also be on the PDGA event page. The last thing about the format of the event, a couple of the holes are set very long in the gold positions. Um, some of those pin positions, we haven't used them for at least 2 and some of them over 3 years. Uh, if that causes quite a bit of a backup, I might have some volunteers move a couple of those a little bit shorter to make the second round go quicker. If we do that though, I'll announce it. Usually, I'll announce it both on the Facebook event page, the DG's Scene event page, and then I also have the ability to send out a message through the digital scoring application. Speaking of which, we are going to be doing digital scoring. That seems to be pretty much the norm anymore. Um, there will not be any paper scores. If you want to have a paper backup, you can. I can give you a generic scorecard, but the scores will need to be entered through the digital system. To do that, you go to the website of pdga.com/score. I recommend you actually typing in that whole thing because if you just type in PDGA score, you're going to get a lot of Google responses that won't apply to this tournament. I would type out that whole thing on your phone. The access code is railroad. The reason why it's railroad, the Free State Fling, and why the tournament is called Free State Fling, there used to be a town just down the hill. Actually, it'd be like near the beach area, kind of in between there and the sailing club dock, if you know where that is. There was a town down that hill called Bloomington, and Bloomington, and also Clinton, Kansas, that the little town you drive through on the way to the tournament. They used to be stops on the Underground Railroad back during slave times in our history. Um, and a lot of the stamps I use and whatnot for the tournament, I try to just acknowledge that Bloomington used to be an Underground Railroad stop. I think that's pretty cool myself. So the password is railroad. Um, when you do the scores, it's pretty simple on how to go through it. I can uh, also post a video on DGScene that kind of gives a little bit of an introduction to it. The big thing though is you want to make sure that you confirm or finalize each score. So when you're done, there'll be a red X by the player. That after the player has confirmed, yes, I got a 63 or 77 or 102 or whatever it is. Um, After they confirm their score, that red X should turn into a green check mark. I highly recommend that you have someone do a backup system, either on UDisc or on a paper card, um, to be able to, for a couple of reasons, to finalize it, um, and excuse me, to be able to uh, double check, each other, make sure you got the right score. I had a situation a couple tournaments ago um, where there wasn't a math error. That's one thing good about the digital scoring is we no longer have math errors, but there was a discrepancy on what score a person had on a particular hole. Once you finalize that card, that's the same as if the card was turned in, and we really shouldn't be changing the score after that unless there is a reinterpretation of a OB rule or something like that. So basically, I mean, I just want to get across that once you finalize the score, you are submitting it as the final authoritative score, and uh, it's going to be extremely difficult to change it after that point. A couple course rules that I want to go over. There are an OB rule part layout both in the DG scene in the comments section on the Facebook event page, and I will also be emailing those out to people Friday evening so that you have a copy of those. But a couple things we'll go over. All roads are OB, either on or over the road for any particular hole. To know when where the road is, because the roads out there for the most part have a gravel shoulder, the road and the grass. We're calling the road the actual asphalt, the pavement itself. The only exception with that is hole 5. That is the longest hole coming out of the woods. When you're there's a part of like a driveway service for service vehicles um, for the campground. That gravel road is OB, so that on that hole, the what is considered to be the road is actually gravel, not the pavement or asphalt, but everything else is the pavement. There's also on 5 holes, we're going to be using the tall prairie grass as OB for a couple of reasons. One, add a little bit of more challenge to the holes, but also if you throw a disc in there, it's going to be real likely that you're going to lose it, that you're not going to be able to find it. Those in the fall this time of year, those tall grass areas are going to be full of stick tights or burrs or whatever you want to call them. Those annoying things that stick on your socks. So the holes where the tall prairie grass is OB is holes. I had it written down here: 8, 9, and 10. So there's kind of like almost like an island of tall prairie grass in between 8, 9, and 10. But then also on 16 and 17 in the back stretch coming back into the main part of the park. Those holes are not going to be painted OB. There is a pretty clear delineation between short grass and tall grass. If for whatever reason that you cannot, maybe it's not really super clear cut if it's inbounds or out of bounds, the card should be able to make a decision on whether it's in or out. 5 people on a card. So there's going to be an odd number of either yes or no, whether it's in or out. If it's really, if it's a real big issue, you can bring it to me and we'll talk about it. Technically, with the way the PGA rules are right now, we're not supposed to be using pictures to determine, like OB rules and stuff like that. Although, a lot of people do. That want to get in the habit of a lot of those decisions should be made on the card, on whether it's in bounds or out of bounds. If generally, if there's any kind of doubt that's, it's like, hey, that kind of looks like it's in, the benefit of the doubt goes to the player. So if it's really that hard to tell, and if you're going to bring it to me, I'm going to say it's in anyway, unless it's like really clearly out and there's just an argument that really shouldn't even be happening. So those are kind of some of the OB rules I want to go over. Each hole will have the OB rule listed in the PGA scoring program app. I don't like to call it an app because it's not an app that you download. It's a web. I guess it's a web-based app. Each hole will have those OB rules listed, along with the various sites that I explain. And if you want to print those out, I encourage you to do that ahead of time. I will not be providing those since they are provided ahead of time. A couple of other things. There is a Hot Round Mini. If you have the Hot Round for your entire division, not just your card, you get a special Hot Round Mini that you can only get through that manner. Normally what I used to do is like notate Hot Round on a player card when we were still using player boards. Now that everything is digital, I don't really have the ability to kind of notate that. So if you have the Hot Round, or if you think you have the Hot Round, come and see me. Usually as a TD, I got a bunch of things going on, so don't be surprised if I overlook that. Don't be afraid to come and ask me about it. There will not be any win your card, win a prize. Generally, I like to do that, trying to decrease the amount of handling we have amongst people. Hopefully we can bring that back next year. There are 5 ACE Fund items. So how the ACE Fund works, if you paid into the ACE Fund, you got to pay into that during registration. If you pay into it and you hit an ACE, you get your choice of one of these 5 items. If there's more than one ACE, then if there's more than one ACE, it is determined by, I kind of changed the rules a little bit. We used to play off for it, but what we're doing now is determined by which one was the longest. If the ace was on the same hole, so it's the same distance, then we'll probably do a throw off for it or something like that. We'll try to find some kind of a way to do that fairly. I doubt we're going to have 5 aces. I've had 2 in one tournament before, but I've never had 5. No, actually, I had in South Dakota. I had a tournament, but there was 3 aces. There was one hole that was really short. It was hit twice, and then a second hole was hit. If there's if there's any prizes, Ace Fund prizes left over, so likely there will be. We'll be doing a CTP throw off for those, and I'll explain those when the time comes. The 5 items are a Discmania Light basket, which has a retail value of $100. There'll be 2 Innova Superhero bags, and those are retail value of $110 each. There's an Innova Adventure backpack with a retail of $40, and an End Zone yellow frame retriever. I sell quite a bit of those, if you've seen those, but those retail for $45 for a total Ace Fund value of $405. There will be approximately a 1 hour lunch in between the rounds. It's after the second card is turned in. It's when the clock starts. Um, don't plan on driving to Lawrence. The closest fast food place in Lawrence is like 28 minutes. You will miss the second round. Um, I just don't try it. I mean, you're not going to make it. The Clinton store, which is the little general goods store in the small town of Clinton that you drive through in order to get to the course, they are providing a lunch for. They'll be selling a lunch. They'll have a excuse me, a pulled pork sack lunch, meaning that there'll be other. We didn't really talk about the details. I'm sorry. I'm guessing there'll be maybe like chips and something else, maybe a can of pop or something like that. But anyway, it's like a sack lunch, or if you don't care for pork, he will also be having a Cobb salad available. Let's see. A couple PDGA rules we probably ought to go over. This is a PDGA sanctioned event. You're responsible for knowing PDGA rules, even if you're not a member. A couple things we want to go over, particularly in light of the season, the COVID situation that we're in. No one should be handling each other's equipment, including discs that are already in the basket. You know, I know people like to be polite and pick up the disc and give it to someone else. You know, please don't do that. Trying to reduce the amount of handling of items between people that we're doing. No, please don't do any high fives or handshakes or whatever. I know people are trying to be cordial with each other, but it's just not a good idea. There are no drugs or alcohol allowed during play, and that play means 2 minutes before we tee off. There'll be a 2-minute warning horn. 2 minutes before we tee off until your card has been submitted, and that means digitally submitted, where everyone on the card has a green check mark. Please read the OB rules before each hole. They're listed in the PGA scoring app, like as I said earlier. If you do go out of bounds, you want to take it for it was last inbounds, not where it's at, not where the disc is resting, but where it was last inbounds. And as a card, you need to collectively decide that. If your disc is out of bounds and it's close, protocol is you need to leave it there until at least one or two other people on your card can verify whether it's in or out. If you're a person that likes to play quickly or whatever, and you're like, oh, this is in, you need to let someone verify that it was in bounds. If you're close to that, will be around. So we don't want any basically people thinking that others aren't playing fairly or whatnot. If there's any barbed wire on the course, and to my best of my knowledge, there isn't. But if there is, you do get a 2-meter safety relief from that without penalty. There will be a 2 horn blasts 2 minutes before we tee off. At that point, you need to stop practicing any throws or putts or whatever. And if there's, and then when it is actually time to start, there'll be just a 1 blast of the air horn. If you don't hear it, the starting time will be posted. If you don't hear it, if you're on the far side of the course or whatever, just go ahead and start when your watch or phone tells you that it's time. If there's any kind of weather delay, I don't, at this time, the chance of rain was like 10%. So I don't anticipate that at all. We do play through the rain, but if there's lightning within 5 miles, we suspend play until it's passed. And if that happens, there'll be 3 blasts of the air horn. If I forgot anything, or if you need any kind of more clarification of the tournament or rules or whatever, the best way to get a hold of me, if there's time, like before Saturday, best way to get a hold of me is by email. It's Maverick Disc Golf KS for Kansas at gmail.com. Otherwise, you can, I guess the second choice would be to text me at 785-764-2229. If it's like on Saturday and you need an answer right away, first text me. But if I don't reply within a couple minutes, then go ahead and give me a call. I would prefer you text me first, just in case, if I'm doing something else at that moment that I'm not able to respond immediately, give me a couple minutes to respond. Otherwise, I believe that's it. Thank you for coming to the tournament. I'm feeling pretty good about the course. If you were out there a couple weeks ago, admittedly, it was in pretty rough shape, but it's doing a lot. It's looking actually pretty decent. We did a lot of work to get it ready for you guys and girls. All right, thank you. Well, I'm trying to stop it.